in that upper bracket, he'll whip out the Mongols.
Interesting matchup here for sure. And oh, look at that cliffy area in the center of the map. So
Ooh.
this is like pretty funneled. And I'm not really sure who that favors. Most of the time it's the player with less mobility. If everything is very close, look at that woodline, next cliff over here. And you basically can only fight through that one single area. Quite interesting.
There's actually something vile about that little area. If you look at it again, there's a stealth forest up there, but it's located on the entrance for PuppyPaw's side. So realistically, like if Viper was to go for maybe some sort of cheeky ram early on, he could just have spears parked in here, and you wouldn't know until you're basically right at the butt end of their stick, right? Like it's not a comfortable situation, especially considering that the Mongols aren't a feudal aggressor anymore, right? They're very much this castle age rushy type civ these days.
Yeah, sometimes after a tower rush, sometimes without a tower rush even, trying to skip a lot of stuff in Feudal Age, which, yeah, is quite a nice change. Look at Viper's map. Gold, not close to the town center. Woodline, not really connected to the gold either. Aachen Chapel won't be crazy good. I think with this map, Mindwork Palace becomes pretty attractive.
Yeah, I think like overall Mindwork Palace felt like it should be attractive with the changes as well, right? Like if you think about logically what an Aachen Chapel achieves for you, if you ever intend to go for the Regnitz Cathedral, you need additional prelates anyway, right? If you actually think back to especially the old Regnitz Cathedral, people would have 3 or 4 prelates at the ready by the time they castled up. And if you consider how many villages you're going to have underneath an Aachen Chapel, I feel like it usually caps up at around 30 to 40. Past that point, your eco tends to spread out of range of the aura.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the changes actually made like Aachen Chapel so much weaker and Mindwork Palace synergized pretty well with Burgrave Palace and Regnitz Cathedral, now with 2 relics only. Less attractive, which makes it so diverse, right? HRE, big question mark, so many different approaches allowed. Now we see 2 spearmen coming out. Villager, maybe a bit late to follow this one up. Only leaving the base at like 220. But Aachen Chapel regardless.
Yeah, so I think, is he just skimming? No, he's not even skimming the wood. So it simply is just for the double food and the gold. I say double food, like he didn't get that many sheep, right? It's a fairly split situation between the two sides, unless he's still got more scouts waiting to return. But we'll see how this outpost goes. It's frustrating for PuppyPaw because everything Viper's now building is retracted behind the primary TC, meaning he's going to put himself more out of position, and there's more risk that he gets spotted making this move in.
This is going to be interesting. 1 villager, as I said, reasonably late. Now 4 spearmen in total. Still not transitioned onto gold. First Khan starts to annoy.
Yeah, not as annoying as they've been in the past. This Khan has had nerf after nerf to their damage at different ages. The Spearman, a little bit more problematic, which is why Viper's going to back away. Now remember, he is playing the HRE, so one nifty thing you can do is any damage done can be offset by the good old Prelate. When he's not buffing people, he can be healing them. But that does give the space, and I like that PuppyPaw's done this, right? Like, I mean, the classic kind of statement that gets made by a lot of pro players is if you're trying to boom against the HRE, you're throwing the game, right? It's very hard to compete with their castle age timings. And look at this! It's the double TC play! Oh, this has been rising in popularity, and this man right here, whether it's against him or him doing it himself, has been one of the connoisseurs, the leaders in this movement.
Okay, yeah, I think you have to explain to me what the big advantage is there. Aren't you already having quite a good economy anyways if you're HRE?
So I think it's to pad for the nerfs to the Palace of Swabia, because if you just try and rush Imperial, you don't recover your economy as quickly or as cheaply as you used to. The other thing that can be quite nice about it is if you always think about the way HRE's played, they've always been this condensed type Civ, right? They don't spread out. They tend to just stay stacked underneath the safety of a TC and boom up to tech advantages. So if you go for a secondary TC, reasonably close by, you get that tech boom up, and also, compared to other civs, it's not easy to ram it down because of emergency repairs.
Okay, I can see that. Couldn't we see spearman engagement over there? Maybe another tower next to the stone could be an option as well. If that tower actually goes up quickly enough, though. Obviously, you only need 300 stone, 130 to go, and then could already go for the second town center.
Something to keep in mind is, because he has the Prelate, in theory, Viper can slowly win a fight with Shivs, right? Like, we've seen this with the Delhi before. They do it more typically because they get spammy on Scholars. But especially if Viper's willing to go for a second Prelate early on, which is just 6 gold short of right now. He can just keep healing anything damaged, and he can just shiv them down, and it looks like it is going in TC range, so PuppyPaw slowly losing the spears, and you can't really afford to replace them like you used to, right? Like, it's kind of changed. Most of the time, Mongol players stop spamming spears once they're up to 4 to 6 maximum, because you get less passive stone in the earlier ages now.
And people got so much better in pulling villagers, pulling them away, trying to heal. Now we are on the way to field edge. That's why we think, okay, we can maybe add some more spearmen, feeling, okay, we get some aggression here. But Viper, as I said, he will simply collect 300 stone and then we'll get out of there. Already has 250.
He's getting close. He's working for it. Now, this is costing him efficiency elsewhere, right? Because although the prelate is saving all these villages, you do have to remember that it means that the rest of his eco isn't being buffed up because he didn't build another prelate. So he hasn't even banked the Archon Chapel right now. That's why there's 0 gold auras on the food or the wood line for Viper. Oh, but 1 snipe in. That's a good move there.
Now still tries to heal. Some stone being dropped. Not going to be that easy. And now only 2 villagers. The micro is getting really ugly.
It's his
Spearman
food.
upgrade is coming in as well.
His food's too low. You can see on the numbers, right? Like, he's struggling to actually keep up at this pace. It's because he doesn't have the buff, the efficiency. Like, this is really, really impressive from PuppyPaw. A lot of players would have thought they weren't getting value here and backed off. But he understands that the prelate, without that 40% buffer to gathering speeds, it's going to actually lead to gaps in the rest of Viper's economy. And even more when you still end up losing the villages like that.
And he lost the villagers that were carrying stone. As you can see, he collected 305 out of that stone mine, but only dropped off 286. That's why he has to go out there again. He lost villagers with stone in their hands.
This is like one of those horror stories where someone makes it back to the safe house, but like, you know, they're covered in claws, they've lost a leg, and they're like, okay, did you get the food we need to survive? And they go, no. And you just look around and you go, someone else is going to have to go out there. And all the villagers are shaking their head like, no, I'm not going out there. That's not a puppy. That's a dire wolf. But finally, he will get his stone, but my god, was the price high. I mean, he's now 3 villages behind, and his economy hasn't been buffed up that 40% efficiency because his prelate has literally been sitting here the entire time.
Ooh, quite a big investment. Maybe he could have sent out 1 villager there, just collect the 6 gold, use the Archon Chapel maybe a bit more. Now he moves out.
Oh,
kind
no.
of in no man's land. Oh,
It's so far out. It's so far out. This is not going to be quick either. Remember, the Holy Inspiration increases your gathering speed, not your build speed. Turn to the shivs. The new round of spearmen coming in. It might be enough damage to take them down, but nice move there. The reaction from Viper is good. He has enough shivs this time around. But the damage is way too much, and you just got to respect those villagers. PuppyPaw a little bit too frisky. Probably going to be unable to stop this going up unless he can target out the prelate. Another village down, though.
But isn't really targeting the prelate, which is quite surprising to me. I think he could have dove there.
It's because the spearmen will die because they run past all the shivs. The only one that can attack is the Khan, and if you look at the Khan's damage, it's pretty underwhelming at this stage in the game. So I can kind of see where he's coming from. Maybe he could have used the maneuver arrow, but the damage on spearmen is pretty measly. That's why these shiv-wielding villagers are able to hold them back so easily.
Now it's time to commit, just delay the town center a bit more. Those spearmen won't really do too much, and well, this is the moment where PuppyPaw needs to think, okay, now you have the double TC set up.
What?
Maybe I should start thinking about castle, but that's something he's already been doing for quite some minutes. Look at his resources.
Yeah, he's getting close, and he's switching the Magadai. I like this if you stop at like 4 to 6 maximum with the stone production, because then you can just raid anything that's loose on the economy, and it's just chip damage while you're not sacrificing your own tech timings. Anything more than that, and it's a lot of gold, because you have to remember that the Magadai are not cheap for how much damage and how much health they have here in the feudal age. So outpost going up. Has been spotted.
Hello.
Moving in.
Hello.
I think he's going to get 1 or 2 here. Yeah, the attack speed arrow will ensure that. 1 villager goes down. He has to actually bail on it. It looks like he wanted to stay. Was he thinking about going for a 3rd TC? There's no way. There's no way he was contemplating 3rd TC, right?
I think it was mainly for better tower upgrades. I think he was trying to go for some emplacements. Only 4 villagers on stone there. Maybe he thought about 3. Would have felt really risky though. Also, we have to question the Viper's choice not going for textiles here.
Yeah, I kind of see where he's come from because he's doing too many villages early on. But now you have 2 TCs, it can be worth it. But it's kind of weird. Like, this did seem like he was going for a 3rd TC. Because the only other thing I could think is, like you said, there's outpost, but there's also a keep. But that would suggest you're rushing castle anytime soon. And considering he's layering his whole base with farms, it suggests he's not in a rush to move beyond feudal. Speaking of people who are going to move beyond feudal, though, PuppyPaw underway. And although this has been scouted, I feel like this has been the issue for Viper. He only went 1 scout, So the info he's been feeding back about what PuppyPaw's activities have been up to this point has been very limited.
Well, he actually got all the info that he needed, right? He saw the spearmen. He knew that more spearmen were coming. He saw the tower rush, tried to react against it. And now the one scout confirms the cast edge timing plus the landmark. So he gets all the information. Simply the reaction there without any army. A bit questionable.
I think the Magadai is the part that caught him off guard, though, right? Like, he didn't see that coming onto the stone line. That did set his timings back a little bit. And it means that PuppyPaw can freely access Castle Age. And Viper, like, he hasn't even caught up yet. He's had the second TC for, like, what, 2 minutes? He's still trailing by 2 villages. And now PuppyPaw just got the landmark that essentially gives him extra villages, if you will, right? With the golden gains going up 50% on the step readout drop-off means that you have 1.5 times the amount of villagers working on gold.
PuppyPaw, by the way, is going for men-at-arms and Lancer mix. Oh, villagers being pulled.
They've had
That's
enough.
2 spearmen in there. That should be some dead villagers.
Yeah, still no textiles, and still no intent to research it. So it probably will cost him 2 villages at least, maybe 3 at this rate. I mean, the torch damage is really not that high. It's like third one is going to go down. After that, maybe Spimmer can even stab another one down. He's trying to save the prelate, but you can't resurrect dead bodies, my friend.
4 villagers even going down. Yeah, nice focus fire there by PuppyPaw. And now the raid should be coming in at the top pretty soon. Defensive towers coming up.
Did he lose 3 more, mainly to the spearman there? I think he did.
Really?
There was 3 bodies dead on the ground at the end of that fight. I heard a lot of which in the Age of Empires 4 context isn't a good noise. And it means that now you're still 4 villages behind. Make that 5. And you've had this TC like what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes now? And now you've got to deal with Lancers as well. This is not getting easier for Viper.
Goes for his first spearman, but still Dark Edge spearman against Man-at-Arm Lancer mix. That's not going to be pretty. Tries to put up some towers. The question, what does PuppyPaw do to guarantee himself long-term success if he can't break Viper? Is he going for relics? Is he going for the extra TC?
It's like hard to say. I feel like he's still thinking secondary TC. It's just he doesn't want to rush it because he needs the wood for military infrastructure now. Like he finally has an army, right? Oh,
yes, monks and builds more monks.
What?
By the way, I hate like you build the gur next to the deer. How in the world do those villagers think? They are so dumb. They deserve to die.
Okay, they're thinking about logic. It was a bit far, Nili. Thinking about they're trying to be economical about this. We just spent a lot of wood to build this. We need to earn back what it cost. You know? Also, maybe they just don't like hurting animals. Like, not everyone is made to kill living things.
Okay, well, then the story with the wolf checks out.
Yeah, because they're made to get killed by living things.
I'm happy to see this.
Yeah, that's right. All those years of people killing the wolves, like, it's time the wolves bit back, literally.
Okay, first relic on the way. Villager count for the first time in basically forever. Viper actually +1 there. Oh, still towers with the defense. Gets some more HP. And look at that. PuppyPaw leapfrogging forward there. Even goes for sprinkler placement. Loses his Khan. A bit sloppy.
Hey, you know,
I think we should see a trap soon.
He done it.
Finally.
Okay, turns out that they didn't want to be on the wood-only diet. They decided they needed meat. It seems that the dog is missing right now. You might find it in your local takeaway house, but it's not on this map anymore. Although, in fairness, the MVP Doge, right? Like, he actually clawed back the eco lead to make sure Viper took the lead earlier than expected.
Double deal is still not taken for Viper there. Just feels too far out. Doesn't want to really move out. Simply doesn't have the army. Now gets onto K-ish spearman numbers to deal with this, but he just feels so surrounded.
Yeah, it's not going to get any easier when the outposts start to, like, crawl around you as well, right? This is the way you encroach upon HRE. Like, this is the weakness of this build as well. Like, when an HRE player goes to multi-TCs, if your plan is to expand quickly outwards, this denies you entirely. And it ensures that when Puppy raids, he moves 15% faster. So good luck responding. You at least get the garrison off in time, but my concern is, if you eventually do get enough villagers to make this TC worthwhile, where do they go to be safe from this?
No, it's probably
Heaven,
a
I
third town
guess?
center. Maybe some walls to try to defend. But PuppyPaw already getting relic number 2 and 3 towards his prayer tent as well. 4 and 5. Well, will be tricky, number 5 at the right-hand side corner. But very likely to see 4 relics against none.
Oh my god. It's not slowing down. And the Yam movement speed speeds this up further, right? It's really frustrating. And this is all part of the plan. PuppyPaw is just giggling to himself right now like a maniacal villain. Because these outposts, these lances, he can throw away half of them and understand that scalability is going to be lost. Because by the time Viper does get up to Castle Age, he's not going to have any relics, right? He's just going to have empty hands, meaning that he will have no choice but to go for the Burgrave Palace.
Yeah. So basically, you could even start thinking about adding crossbows, right? Because you think, okay, Viper's only comeback mechanic would be designed around men-at-arms from the Burgrave Palace. So I think actually crossbow over archers could have been a choice here for PuppyPaw.
Maybe even just archers makes sense for PuppyPaw though, because to your whole statement, like the man-at-arms, although they get a bit bonus damage against Lancers will still hold them back in trade. And also, it prevents Viper from going for Spearmen. And Spearmen are pretty damn good for the HRE, right? Like especially the way they scale into late game. Like, I just like archers. I think we're in the middle of a ranged meta. We kind of have been since release. But with the nerfing of Mangonels, I think it's becoming more apparent than ever. And it means that all of a sudden, after months of archers looking absolutely pitiful as the game scales, then we're now seeing them as a critical part of late game compositions.
Yeah. Spearman main unit for the Viper. Now on the way to Castle Age at least. And Viper is queuing up Feudal Age men-at-arms.
By the way,
it feels like we're going to that direction, but also double stable.
There we go. So Burgrave. By the way, because it's been long enough now, we can highlight that the villager, like the people are still once again dying to the wolves. I just wanted to leave it long enough that the wolf didn't die before its story was complete. Really has been a curse for both sides in this game. I don't think I've actually seen wolves with this much impact in a while, and this is a very important game, folks. We highlighted already for PuppyPaw mainly. Like he wants this, he needs this to get him very close to being guaranteed making that top 8. Viper, a little less concerning for him. However, this game is quickly becoming concerning, especially the Tractor's Trebuchets now in the front line. And E-repairs will at least keep the E-boy alive for the moment, but it's just a matter of time before the CC goes down.
I think focusing down the farms might be even better now. Just guarantee yourself some of the resources, and if you go for low HP buildings, the emergency repair, relatively speaking, becomes less efficient. So I think that could be an option.
I think it instantly dies, right? The bonus damage on a Treb, I think, is enough to instantly kill a farm, so you don't even get a chance to repair it. Not that you logically want to be using emergency repairs on a farm anyway. Oh god, that would feel... It's like, I've saved the farm, and then the town center's on fire. What have I done?
Separate out now being moved, and that is just an unbreakable area. So much nice stuff. Raid Bounty sadly not being researched. I think could have been a nice addition there, knowing that he will find some kills here against the buildings. But it's simply like PuppyPaw just sitting there, builds towers, gets all the emplacements. Town center is now being threatened again. I think Viper should wait till like 500 HP and go for it again. Well, actually, no. Every single time PuppyPaw will get new resources.
Yeah. So it's just going to go down. That's a problem. Because actually, if you look at the eco count, he's only 5 villages ahead after all this time. And I don't even know how he's going to keep up production. If you actually look at his military production buildings, not all of them are working. So he built this Burgrave Palace, he built double racks. He's not actually using all of them because he can't afford it.
Let's send some army around as well to clear up those 3 sacred sites. Means even less army at his main base. It feels like 20 against 60 units here next to starting town center. Yep,
and he's going on that primary town center right now. E-repair is going to be used. Remember, emergency repairs, 150 health every second for 20 seconds, but a long-ass cooldown. Especially when you consider that you haven't put a dent in PuppyPaw. So what's he going to start doing? Building more siege. This time into the Mangonels, commonly known as the Boygonels at this point as they got heavily nerfed. But considering you're only pushing melee units, and with the size of the front line for PuppyPaw, you might actually get some value here.
Let's take a look. Now goes for the attack again for some idle time here. And Viper, he wants to delay this fight, wants to get into better numbers. As you can see, Landsknecht and Lancers on the way. But crossbow numbers now up to 13 already for PuppyPaw. He's getting onto quite a nice army as well.
He's getting onto quite a nice victory at this rate. Viper's going to have to fight soon. The concern is his Landsknecht. The Mangonel is built for that. It counters them out, and it's going to force the fight. Yes, they're rushing, but PuppyPaw, look, he has the movement speed to just back off straight away and choose to fight how he chooses it. And with the wrap around the villagers, they're going to get sacrificed. The Spoon upgrades instantly sniping them down at this rate with one Lancer on the side. Mangonel will fall, but how many dead peasants for it? Keep constructively being built up defensively in the base of Viper to try and give himself some sort of staging point, but the ranged battalion is the difficulty here. So many ranged units remaining for PuppyPaw, and now with the armor arrow as well, it ensures you do next to no damage to a unit that you should be able to just eviscerate so quickly.
Oh, this is so tricky. The tree blocking the vision there. Archers still sniping more and more villagers. And all of a sudden, PuppyPaw 25 villagers is ahead.
And the keep is not going up. There's only one villager left. The little Timmy's gone to his grave with the rest, and that means he'll wave that flag. 1-1. A third game will be needed here.
Just imagine. This one felt like an okayish fight for Viper. And PuppyPaw didn't even use any of his crossbows. Or did you see any of those? It felt like he had a missed waypoint or something. It was only archers. If he had those 12, 13 crossbow men mixed in there, I think he just completely ruffle-stomped Viper's army there.
I mean, I know they were Castle Age, but maybe like PuppyPaw, he just wanted to roleplay like the Dark Age. Like, oh, we just discovered the bows. Crossbows way too complicated to figure out just yet. I mean, it seemed like it was just kind of a friendly handicap at that point. You can see how this was escalating quickly. There's not really a rush for PuppyPaw to end. And the worrying part is how quickly PuppyPaw was on the mark of the double value around relics. It's not just the fact he took those relics away from a poor HRE player who managed to get a total of 0 relics